Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Elson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. In a letter to the bishops of Chile, Pope Francis said that he has read the report of investigators who traveled to Chile to learn more about victims of abuser priest Father Fernando Karadima and what was known by Bishop Juan Barros. The Pope said after reading the testimonies in the report, he can affirm that all the testimonies collected speak in a brutal way, without additives or sweeteners, of many crucified lives, and he confessed it has cost him pain and shame. Rome Reports has more from the Vatican.
Pope Francis has sent a letter to the bishops in Chile explaining some of his conclusions on the sexual abuse cases committed by Father Karadima and the possible involvement of the Bishop of Osorno, Juan Barros. The Pope admits that he has made serious errors in the assessment and his perception of the situation, especially due to the lack of truthful and balanced information. Therefore, the Pope apologizes to all those who may have been offended. The Pope has asked the Chilean bishops to come to Rome after examining the 2,300 forms resulting from the investigation by his special envoy to Chile, Archbishop Charles Scicluna. Francis wishes that the confidence of Chilean society in the Church be restored and that the wounds be healed.
The Pope said in the letter he had been overwhelmed by the maturity, respect, and kindness of the victims who testified. As pastors, the Pope told the bishops, we must express the same feeling and cordial gratitude to those who, with honesty and courage, requested to meet with the envoys and show them the wounds of their soul. According to reports, the bishops of Chile will travel to the Vatican towards the end of May. In news from around the country, dozens of U.S. church leaders, including Cardinal Blase Cupich of Chicago, Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles, will be gathering in June at Georgetown University to address the polarization that marks church and political life and develop steps to work toward achieving the common good. Organizers of the conference, entitled Though Many One, Overcoming Polarization Through Catholic Social Thought, hope that by convening church leaders in face-to-face discussions at Georgetown, discussions on behalf of the common good will move forward more rapidly. John Carr, director of the Initiative on Catholic Social Thought at Georgetown, said the conference is an attempt in a more focused and strategic way to look at how this unnecessary and unhelpful polarization reduces our ability as Catholics to make a difference in a really divided country. More news from the Vatican. During his weekly general audience in St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis reflected on the sacrament of baptism as the foundation of Christian life. As the first of 7 sacraments, he said, baptism is the door that permits Christ the Lord to make his dwelling in us and allows us to immerse ourselves in his mystery. Therefore, he said, the date of our baptism is very important to know.
Tutti dobbiamo sapere la data del nostro battesimo. È un altro compleanno, è il compleanno della rinascita.
The Pope asked fathers and mothers to value this sacrament and baptize their children because the graces received here help cultivate Christian virtues.
Alcuni pensano che, ma perché battezzare un bambino che non capisce? Speriamo che cresca, che capisca e sia lui stesso a chiedere il battesimo. Ma questo significa non avere fiducia nello Spirito Santo, perché quando noi battezziamo un bambino, entra in quel bambino lo Spirito Santo e lo Spirito Santo fa crescere in quel bambino, da bambino, delle virtù cristiane che poi fioriranno. Sempre si deve dare questa opportunità a tutti i bambini, di avere dentro di loro lo Spirito Santo che li guidi durante la vita. Non dimenticatevi, battezzare i bambini.
Pope Francis also greeted these 3 pilgrims who traveled from northern Italy to Rome with their llamas for a blessing from the Pope. They gave Francis some socks and a llama wool skull cap to protect him from the cold. But with the arrival of spring, it's likely that the Pope will keep them for next year.
Looking now at news from Canada, Cardinal Thomas Collins of Toronto has joined Western bishops and other dioceses across Canada in withholding funds from Development and Peace, the overseas development agency of the Canadian Bishops' Conference. The actions by the Cardinal and bishops flow from preliminary results of a probe that found some of the agency's partners conflict with Catholic moral and social teaching, particularly on abortion, contraception, and gender theory. The Canadian Catholic Conference of Bishops issued a statement confirming that a joint research project with Development and Peace is underway in response to questions raised about some of its partners. Development and Peace is the official international development organization of the Church in Canada and one of the 160 members of Caritas Internationalis. And finally in the news, Catholic Masses are going to be celebrated in Lund Cathedral in Sweden for the first time in 500 years. The historic Lutheran cathedral, formerly the site of bitter religious feuding, has become a site of interfaith friendship since Pope Francis held a service there in 2016. The agreement to allow Catholic Masses to be celebrated in the cathedral is to accommodate the growing parish of St. Thomas Aquinas in Lund, which will be undergoing building renovations. Catholic services will be held in the cathedral beginning in October until the renovations are complete. The Catholic Diocese of Stockholm credits the church sharing to Pope Francis's visit, saying the Pope has had a direct impact in improving Christian relationships in Sweden. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.